And welcome everybody to a morning edition of our Daily Gun Show. On Tuesdays, we attempt to go live with a 2A media workshop. Wondering if my audio is working. I'm looking for the indicator here. I think it is. Let's double check though. Here, I think it is. Let's double. It looks like it is. All right, so a couple of things we got going off. Right, to start off the show, we have a poll going for everybody that's listening live. If you're listening as a podcast listener in the future at some point, you can go back and look at it at YouTube, or we have another one going on Instagram right now. So there's a poll. What's your biggest goal at SHOT Show this year? Discovering new brands, building business connections, gaining content ideas, or learning about industry trends. Lots of people go to SHOT Show, something like 60,000 every year. Something like 2,500 of them are media. So it's really not that big compared to CES, which is, I think, happening this week. And they have something like almost 6,000 media. So almost a factor of 3 bigger than SHOT Show. Show's bigger, but I don't know about the ratio there. There's Gizzard out there. Welcome. Gizzard has become a member. So I don't know why it's saying that, because you've been a member for 26 months. Thank you. There it is. So it does show up over here. I don't know if Gizzard, I don't know if Gizzard has done the stream from Rumble, but I was looking at that this morning, early this morning, but I couldn't get it to work with YouTube. Otherwise, I would ditch this thing that I'm using right now and go check out Rumble's stream thing if I can get it to work with YouTube. All right. Well, so anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks Gizzard for jumping in, being part of the show already. If you're out there, guess what? The internet means you can be part of the show. We value the input from people joining us, so that's why we do stuff live. So feel free to be part of the show. If you want to super chat, anything like that, all those funds are going to make SHOT Show even better than it would normally be. So feel free to SHOT Show super chat if you want to. Just be a channel member, that kind of thing. All goes into the pot, and it's much appreciated. We are capitalists after all, and I don't have anybody supporting the channel as far as like sending us to SHOT Show. So anybody that wants to throw some in the pot is awesome. Thank you for that. So let's see. What does it say here? SHOT Show Strategies Podcast. That's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to do a deep dive into the art of making the most out of this event. We're going to be doing that from the point of view of a content creator, from the point of view of a vendor, somebody, I said vendor, but I don't know what to call it, like manufacturer, whoever happens to be there setting up a booth, an exhibitor, I guess I probably should have said. And then as the point of view as someone who's going to the show as an industry attendee. And like I said, there's about something like 30,000 industry attendees. We'll talk about those different roles, and we'll talk about what 7 things you could be doing right now to make your SHOT Show more effective. And that's what it's all about. So we'll just dig right in. Gizzard says he did run a test stream from Rumble. Rich does it. Yeah, Rich sucks at it, so that's why I thought it sucked. And I went over there and looked, and I was like, oh, it's okay. But I don't know if Rich just doesn't read the screen or what, but it seems like it's an hour and a half lag. Maybe it is an hour and a half lag. Rich can't suck that bad, though, because he's got it hooked up to YouTube, and I haven't figured that part out yet. But I just thought it was goofy the way Rich was running it. When I went over there and looked, I was like, oh, okay, this looks a little bit different than what I thought it was going to be. So just had a very little experience with it. Let's see, we still only have the one vote over there. Somebody voted for building business connections at SHOT Show. We'll leave that poll go for a little bit. We also have a poll going on the YouTube channel, and let's see. That one is a little bit different. If you could attend SHOT Show, or if you could only attend one part of SHOT Show, what would it be? The product launches, the seminars, the networking events, or walk on the floor. And looks like right now most people are looking for those product launches, and then the floor, then educational seminars, with 0 coming in for networking. Isn't that interesting? Because the only vote over here is for networking. All right, so we're going to get into the 7 steps that people could take getting ready for SHOT Show. It's about 13 hours away. No, 13 days and 14 hours away from opening up. That's the first day of SHOT Show, but the SHOT Show has become a week-long event, including the day before is a range day, and the day before that is actually spread out to be even more third-party events, and then evenings and after events. Like it kind of spreads out and takes up a bunch of locations in Vegas and days on the calendar. So the opening day is about 13 days away. So if you're going to be going to SHOT Show as a content creator, and that's what we do our 2A media workshops mostly for, but in case anybody's just interested, feel free to stick around. But as someone who's setting up at the show, I think you might be able to learn something from what the content creators are thinking. And from, well, if you're just going to attend the show, you probably don't care what the content creators are thinking. But let's get into it. So setting clear goals. I think that's kind of, a lot of this stuff is obvious. There's nothing here I don't think that's going to knock your socks off. But hopefully it'll help you to focus if you've missed something, and to prioritize if you're still not sure what level to spend, or how much time to spend on these things. So setting your clear goals, determine objectives of the show, kind of like what we asked in the questions over here, what are you going to SHOT Show for? Since there's lots of different reasons to go. This is by no means our first show about SHOT Show, so you probably have heard us ramble on and on with multiple people about the different things that you could do at SHOT Show. So with all that in mind, you want to focus in and try to get, I'm not going to say one thing to do because that's kind of pointless, but having a couple of things to do, having some ideas of your opportunities that you could work towards and get prepared for them. Prioritizing those activities, making a list of must attend activities, booths, meetings. That's interesting. Prioritizing is probably a good idea. Creating metrics, define how you'll measure success, and that's an interesting one. The number of connections, the number of videos you make, or the number of leads that you end up with. That's actually pretty interesting. And without goals, then without some kind of metrics, then how do you know if you're spinning your wheels, or how do you know if you just set a record, time? Snob says he's only going to sign autographs and pet puppies and kiss babies. It's like a politician. So then plan content in advance. Let's go to the next one. Pre-schedule content, post teasers about your plans on social, and build anticipation. That's definitely something to do. We're talking about content creators here. So if you're talking about pre-scheduling content, remember that the internet's interactive. So you're allowed to interact with that audience out there and ask them what they're interested in. They're watching you for a reason. Maybe they're watching you for 3 things and you think they're watching you for 2, or you think they're watching you for 3 things, but they're watching you for 1. So if you're going to make the most use of your time at SHOT, have an idea of what people expect from you. And if you haven't had that kind of interaction with your audience yet, use SHOT Show as a reason to start that. As far as posting teasers and stuff, letting people know you're going is a good idea. Like I just said, I'm doing the, we have the SHOT Show super chat thing going. So any super chats are going to help us get to SHOT Show. So, and help us pay for stuff and make it a better trip than a bare bones trip. Then we got batch content, the next section. Prepare templates for social posts and whatnot. In fact, you can get a lot of stuff prepared ahead of time, especially when you're depending on where you're at in the game. This is our 20th year, so a little bit more long in the tooth, I guess. I don't prep the same way as I did. I don't have the same goals as I did, right? Everything changes over time. So I can remember, though, in your first going, there's a lot of anticipation and you're anxious and you're, chomping at the bit. One of the ways you can deal with that and make use of that is get like 3/4 of your video made already, or at least 1/4 of your video made. Get some portion of your videos made so that when you get back from SHOT Show, like we talked about, you've got some goals, right? You're going to make 10 videos a day or something. You're going to make 100 videos at SHOT Show. You're going to make contacts or whatever. So maybe set up some emails. Hey, thanks. I'm glad we met. Remember, we met on Monday. And you got those Monday emails set up, letting people know, hey, remember we met on Monday? is a hell of a lot better than saying, hey, we met at SHOT Show. Hey, we met at the lunch line, waiting in line for dinner or whatever at the grilled cheese place on Monday. Remember, like, that's a lot easier to remember than, hey, we met at SHOT Show and talked. So having some of these emails prepared is a way to set yourself up for success after SHOT Show. We're going to be talking about how to plan for SHOT Show. I don't know, in other shows we've talked about what the consequences of SHOT Show are, what to expect after. I don't know if we'll have time to do that today, but you are going to have a different attitude and a different motivation and a different ability once you get back from SHOT Show. Your time's either going to be filled or it's going to, there's going to be a different set of circumstances. I don't know anybody that goes into SHOT Show and comes out of SHOT Show exactly the same, unless they have absolutely nothing to do at SHOT Show. There definitely are people that don't take advantage of the opportunity and just walk around. And to them, it's just like going to another movie or something. So they have no consequence in their life. But most everybody I know, especially when we're talking content creators, you either go into it one way and come out another, or you go into it with some amount of momentum and you come out with another amount of momentum. But whatever that is, you're going to be setting yourself up for success if you give yourself some prep work for the other end of it, rather than say, oh, I'll figure it all out after I've been to SHOT Show. That's a lot of assumptions. But let's keep going. Create a shot list, the list of videos or photos you'll capture. That's interesting. I mean, they're saying shot list, but like scene list. Create a different or an idea in your head of what you're going to be doing when you hit booths. And that's interesting. Like choreograph your booth routine ahead of time, essentially. Some people that competitive shoot would probably dig that, right? It's like gaming their stages. Clover's out there saying he's not sure what it is. You'll figure it out. You'll catch on. Research and schedule. Is my audio working, by the way? Like, I'm assuming everything's working good. I tested it at the beginning, but give me some feedback on that. Research and schedule meetings. Identify key exhibitors. Use that exhibitor thing. I think Gizzard just said, I got too many things open right now. I got too many things open. Gizzard said, I'm already working in my SHOT Show Planner app, mapping out the exhibitors I want to visit and scheduling appointments. I only learned this year that you can schedule appointments with some people through the app, and that's kind of neat. That's a neat feature. I didn't know it was there. I mean, not everybody takes advantage of it on both sides, but it is there. And I shouldn't say both sides, on either side, because there's the exhibitors, there's the attendees, and there's media. So there's really three things. I don't think attendees and media talk to each other very much. Like, sometimes there's nothing stopping us. We're all standing there next to each other. It's just that we're all looking in the same direction. We're all looking at the exhibitors. The exhibitors are all looking at us together, the attendees and media together. So often the exhibitors don't even know the difference between us unless we have a camera out or something. And if we don't think about it, you spend so much time looking at things at SHOT Show and doing stuff at SHOT Show that I don't know too many people. I shouldn't say that. I've known a few people, but I don't know too many people that take the time to look left and right and talk to those people who they're sitting next to on the bus or next to in line or whatever. And those people, what is that called? Like those outgoing kind of people that do that, they have a much different time at SHOT Show. Let's see. So identifying some of the exhibitors to pinpoint or pinpoint relevant brands and booths. It's always a good idea. Schedule appointments, reach out to companies. I'm not a big fan of that, but if that's something that works for your flow or that works for the people that you're going to talk to, just because you're not a fan of appointments or I'm not a fan of appointments, if the people at Benchmade are fans of appointments, guess what you need to be? Fans of appointments, because they're going to want to be on an appointment schedule. And that's what I would kind of tune you to, is the larger the company, the more demand they're going to have, the more they're going to rely on or respond to appointments and scheduled times. So don't just assume you can just walk up on everybody anytime. Some people you can, but a lot of people are going to be filled up already. Or not already, but filled up as soon as the show starts going. Sorry, I'm getting the hiccups here, of course, as soon as I start talking. Prepare questions. It's interesting. Research the company's latest projects. Now, that's something that I would definitely, I don't know why they put it under. I guess prepare questions makes sense, but under this topic of research, there's some people, that will be researching. Some people are anticipating a product or something, or a new development or something like that, or something's been on the drawing board. But not very many people, go to the product's company's website and look around, because some companies have more than one thing on the drawing board. So they might have one thing that's got the spotlight or everybody's attention. But, they got 3 things that came out this year, and they might be really interested in the people interested in everything, and, kind of taken for granted the people looking at their main object. So there's definitely some hidden gold out there, but I wouldn't say it's all gold. It's just sometimes nice to be competent about the company's products, so you don't have a poor conversation with the person. You go up to somebody unprepared and might say, well, wouldn't it be nice if you made your own rails? And then they're offended because, they're a rail manufacturer who just started doing this other product that you're looking at. So having a little bit of prep. The nice thing about that is, I'm not going to say you should rely on this, but the one thing, if you do find something that you didn't prepare for at SHOT Show, you can always just take a few steps and go on your phone and research pretty quick. So be ready to adapt and do that kind of stuff, right? But don't assume you're going to do that all during SHOT Show, because you're not paying and wasting all your time to get to SHOT Show just to stick around on your phone, right? So knowing you can do that, don't do your research at SHOT Show. Don't plan on doing your research at SHOT Show. That's a way to, to do a lot of this stuff when it's cheap and easy, compared to when it's annoying and it costs a lot of money to be doing that research on the floor. Let's see if anybody else out there. Bullets and Boxes out there. Welcome. Let's see. Clover saying a lot of small companies go as attendees because they can't afford booths. Be surprised how many connections you can make by talking to attendees. So I like going to the smoking areas. That's a good point. And we've talked about that for sure, right? In past conversations about this stuff. But, those times when everybody's standing around, you've got lots of potential to make new friends or just learn stuff while you're there. Now, at the same time, you can, most people are using those times to do whatever, find a Uber or figure out what they're eating for dinner, figure out where all their friends are and stuff like that. So if you can, as you get better and better at this, as you go to SHOT more often, your friends groups get tighter, you'll, or like you get used to working as a group better, you won't be spending 25 minutes, 40 minutes trying to figure out what to eat or where to go to eat. And instead you'll be able to pop your head up once in a while and take a look around and have those, be ready for those opportunities that Clover's mentioning. Let's see. So preparing your equipment, and that's a big piece. Like, we're talking prep a couple weeks out, 14 days out, 13 days out, testing your gear, your cameras, your microphones and stuff. Hopefully you've already taken your cameras, your microphones to like a gun show or something like that, where you get a noisy environment to make sure that everything works and you know how to edit the stuff out and what your gear can do. So that's an opportunity to do that. Test your batteries. Make sure your packing and stuff is complete. There's nothing, again, if you're dealing with that pre-SHOT Show anxiety, you're chomping at the bit to get there, pack your bags, get ready to go, take your bags and go into the backyard or into the garage or something and unpack your bags. Like maybe go into the guest bedroom, or I don't know, go into wherever it is, go into the servants' quarters and then unpack your bags and act like you're at your hotel room and now start figuring out, okay, I'm setting up my computer, I'm setting up my streaming system. Oh, you're not streaming at SHOT? Why aren't you streaming at SHOT? You're lazy? I don't know. But, figure out whatever it is you're doing at SHOT Show and unpack and do that. Make sure you got your batteries, because the best time to figure out you missed something is when you haven't even left the house yet. So there's nothing stopping you from unpacking at your house. Or like I say, go to the servants. A lot of people have a servants building out back. So it's kind of like you're leaving your house. Go out into their quarters and unpack. Bring spares, bring extra batteries, bring memory cards, cables, and extra gear. If we were going to the middle of nowhere, I'd say, yeah, do that. But in 2025, we're going to Las Vegas and Amazon exists. So if you don't want to bring a bunch of extra shit, I'll give you an Amazon link and you can buy all that crap and have it delivered to your hotel the next day. Honestly, I think that's probably a better idea than trying to bring all kinds of crap. Most people aren't driving. Most people are on the airplanes. So bringing all that extra stuff, I mean, as much as I like to be prepared, I really do think, packing your stuff up, doing a test run, making sure you have everything you're going to need. You don't need to bring stuff in case something breaks or in case you lose something. Because if that actually happens, you can get this stuff replaced pretty darn quick. And if you're not worried about spending a couple extra bucks, you can literally go to a regular store in town and pick it up, at a little bit higher price. But, it's everybody's thing. If you're driving, bring the kitchen sink. There's nothing wrong with bringing a double your gear. If you bring extra gear and you don't use it, big deal, right? If you bring extra gear and you're not needing it, you can lend it to somebody, and that's very cool. So I'm not against bringing extra gear, but if that becomes an annoyance or you're going to have to buy something to be extra, don't. Buy the extra thing when you need it. You're probably spending enough on SHOT Show already. Let's see, optimizing your setup, practice using lightweight gear if you'll be on the move. No, I don't know about all that. Everybody out here, a lot of people listening have been to SHOT before. Is lightweight gear that big a deal? Most of the people I know don't really carry that much stuff anymore. So I'm thinking this is probably just the robots coming up with like general trade show stuff or something, because most of us aren't worried about bringing, small stuff anymore. The people who are doing television and stuff, they have to worry about bringing a lot of gear, but most of us can stream from or do everything from our phones. Let's see, engage your audience, announce so this is talking about as a content creator, the 7 things to do to get ready for SHOT in the next 13 days, right? Letting your audience know that you're going is probably a good idea. Like if they don't know you're going and it's a big surprise to them, at least I think you're wasting a big opportunity there. Like I say, if one thing is you're going to be talking to 10 different types of people, 2 of them care about this and the rest of them care about that, you might as well be going to SHOT Show and talking about the thing that most of them care about, or at least know they care about it, so that you can put it into your schedule, into your planning. But also just lets the people at SHOT Show know you're going, which is probably good. You don't really think about it, but we'll talk about it here in a minute when we talk about what it's like for the exhibitors. But the exhibitors, if they're worth a shit, they're paying attention to who's going to SHOT Show, right? And they know everything. They can tell, like, well, that guy's going to SHOT Show, but he's got all expenses paid and he's driving around in a limousine, right? And he's got a crew carrying around all the shit for him. Like, that's different than, oh, this guy's going to SHOT Show for the first time, and I could, get on that guy's good side, and I might have a content creator that likes my stuff, likes my products for life, right? So letting people know you're going, you're spending a lot, unless you're independently wealthy, you're not watching this probably, but you're putting your resources on the line to get here. Let people know you're going. Don't make it a surprise. Run polls and Q&A. So look at that. We got a poll going right now. So let's go look at the results of the poll. Nobody's even voting in it, or everybody that's going is going for business connections. What a bunch of capitalists. And then we have another poll going on YouTube. Speaking of polls, I have to refresh this one, I think. So for people who listen to the podcast, we're looking at polls on the screen right now. So this poll on YouTube is about if you could only attend one element of SHOT Show, what would it be? The product launches, the educational seminars, the networking events, or walking the exhibit floor? And walking the floor and product launches are now tied at 42% each, with educational seminars bringing in 17% of the votes, and networking events absolutely 0. Here's a little interesting tidbit. If I was sitting there with Tony or somebody chatting, I would say, what's the most important thing at SHOT Show? The product launches that they could do themselves. Like any company could do that. Any company could bring on any amount of content creators and do a product launch anytime they want. An educational seminar, which again could be done anywhere, anytime, over the internet, doesn't need anybody to be in one place. walking the exhibit floor, that could only be done at SHOT Show at that scale, but it can be done at NRA. It could be done at the Great American Outdoor Show. It can now be done at GOA. It could be done at NAGA in Dallas. It could be done to some extent at other shows. What can't be done anywhere else is networking. Sometimes you can do networking at those other events if people show up to them, but the scale of bringing the entire industry together, both manufacturers, the attendees and the media, that is unprecedented. And that's something that we aren't able to do online efficiently or effectively. So it's interesting that the one that nobody's voting for, I would think some people might think is the most valuable thing as humans in a day of robots taking everything over, having the ability to meet people. And I use one of the reasons I go to SHOT Show. I don't get paid to go to SHOT Show. I have been paid to go to SHOT Show like twice, a couple years ago, a couple years before that. Every other time I've just paid to go to SHOT Show. And thanks to those people who got us to SHOT Show, because I was definitely not able to afford it. And I do value going to SHOT Show, not for the networking, but because I like to monitor our community, right? And anyway, I think that that aspect of SHOT Show is changing for sure. Let's see. So then what we're talking about is 7 things that you can do as a content creator to get ready for SHOT Show. So we'll talk about organizing, travel, and logistics. As soon as I drink some water here. Oh, if I'm drinking water, something you may not have heard about, but I invented is a thing called, let me bring it up here, is a thing called, come on, where's my computer at? It's stupid. Oh, I'm in the wrong folder, that's why. A thing I invented a little while back is called making music with a computer. Here's a little something. Oops, I gotta open it up the right way instead of opening it up in Adobe Edition. How about I open it up with Media Player? We can actually listen to it.
In the desert of the south, he reigns, with eyes so big and heart so bold, pug with passion none can tame, his words like sunlight turning gold. Come midnight hour, he takes his seat, a hero hosting nightly.
That was a horrible version, but that isn't. There's better ones. I'll pick a good one next time. But that's my new break music. I've invented the idea, the whole concept of making music electronically. I invented that this week, and that's my new break music during the live podcast. So we'll be doing organizing, travel, and logistics. Let's see. We got confirming reservations. It's probably a good idea. We confirmed some reservations yesterday and figured out that we couldn't cancel some reservations. Let's see. So that's probably a good idea, though. Check those things. Check on your transportation and stuff. I don't know if I've heard any horror stories. I shouldn't say that. I definitely have heard horror stories of people having issues, usually weather related. But I shouldn't assume that people that are traveling to SHOT just already know that stuff. The people I know travel a lot, I guess, so they know to make sure for weather or whatever. But if you aren't, don't depend on me, because I hardly ever fly. So talk to people who do fly, and here's some of the strategies on how to make that as effortless as possible. If you stay at a hotel, though, calling ahead, making sure you got your room and that kind of stuff is always a good idea, especially on a big or a big event. What's it called? Like a big event weekend in Vegas, or a big event week in Vegas. Pack essentials like comfortable shoes, business cards, and a notebook. I think we'll talk about notebook or business cards here in a second, but comfortable shoes is one of those things that pretty much always comes up. Comfortable clothes, presentable, right? You're going to be making impressions, and you're going to be walking around all day. There's like so many things to keep in mind. And on the other hand, you're going to be walking up there's going to be one person on one side of you with a suit on, and the person on the other side of you is going to have flip-flops and shorts on. So it's going to be whatever you think you're going to do at SHOT Show. I'm sure everyone who's gone can tell you, like, whatever you think you're going to do as far as your clothes, you're going to probably change that by about your third year. Business cards and notebooks, probably a good idea. Coming up with a way to deal with business cards is probably a good idea as well. We've talked about it in the past. There's lots of different strategies out there. I know a lot of the kids like to think, and especially people that have some kind of, free or a affiliate link to get a some kind of electronic version of a business card. The electric business card people inevitably come along and say, "Oh, no, business cards are antique. You don't want to use those. You want to use some electronic thing." And them and 16 other people use it, and everybody else uses business cards still. So business cards are definitely still a thing. And I mean, of however many people you talk to at SHOT Show, I might get 2 that say they don't have business cards. People will run out of their business cards. They'll use that excuse if they don't want to give you one, but they have business cards. But I wanted to say, having a bag, or at least what your carry options are. The robot didn't put that in here, but I think that's a massive, a really big part of SHOT Show. Bringing the wrong bag can be frustrating. Bringing the wrong bag can be overwhelming. Like if you bring too much shit in a big bag, I mean, you're hurting yourself, literally, physically, and wasting everybody's time because you're knocking into everybody with it. If you bring too little of a bag, what's the point of going to SHOT Show? Just call it in, like watch it on a video or something. If you're not going to, be ready to pick up patches and business stuff from people or whatever. So I think you need to have a bag, and having it larger, the better, but having it as empty as possible and having options for stowing stuff is key. So let's see, plan your route. Gizzard talked about that. I don't know. He likes planning his route. Maybe ask Gizzard on the private side if he's ever actually been able to follow that route. Maybe he does. I don't know if I've ever asked him, but in my experience, let's say I'm trying to go from here to there, you're going to have to walk there. There's no shuttles or transporters or anything. So as you're walking there, how many people are you passing? Let's say 10,000, 2,000, something like that, somewhere between 2 and 10,000 people. What's the odds you're going to meet somebody in that 2 to 10,000 people? I'm going to just say 90%, because almost every time you walk somewhere, you're going to meet somebody It just happens, especially as longer you go there, or somebody you want to know. So if you're going to SHOT Show and you're giving yourself 5 minutes to get somewhere, I don't know. Somebody could try to talk me into that's the best way to do things, but I've been going for 20 years, and I think keeping yourself fluid and open is the best thing you can do. So knowing where things are, yes. Knowing the floor map, yes. But planning a route, I don't know about all that. And it's also a factor that it's no longer one doorway that's also the entrance and exit like it used to be. Before, there was one door that you came in and out of, and everybody went in and out of that door. So there was probably some usefulness to having a route, because you could probably like have some kind of idea of where people were going to be, and you could be in the places where they are or aren't. But now with the layout of it, it's not chaos. It's just much different, and there's so much more variables that I don't think there is a best. I mean, you can find the shortest route for sure, but I don't think you can plan a route with any reality. I could be wrong. I'm not really reading the things anymore. But Gizzard said in here somewhere, remember to pack your business cards. Good point. I think he said that way before. Just a real question. Bullets or Stephen was saying, how do you introduce yourself to companies you'd like to work with? Like, what do you actually say or not say? That's a great thing. I don't know if you're saying that is like adding that to, sort of the whole idea of like getting ready for SHOT Show, or if you're asking that. I wish there was a way for me to store these things. That's one of the worst things about this. The one thing I do like about StreamYard is that I could tag the comments. I can just leave it on the screen for now. Let's see. Steve was also saying I don't stream at SHOT. usually, but I might this time because vertical seems like it's being pushed by YouTube. So Steven's doing it at a whole nother level. I have paid attention to what YouTube wants. I've paid more attention to what our audiences are doing, like literally what we're doing at the time. Like if it was live, there was years when we were live all the time. So, I mean, I was live 24 hours constantly for a while. So we were live those years for sure. And then live was still a thing, but it was like live during shows, like Gizzard's show. Like I can't believe Gizzard doesn't do a show from SHOT Show. That's like the epic. Like you could be doing your show from SHOT Show after SHOT Show, like after it's all over. Clover would say you could have somebody pay to show up and be, sponsor the show and sponsor the after action show. But it could be the SHOT Show after action show that's at an actual location where somebody hooks it up, where, you've got like what do they call it? It's like the banquet room or like the special events room of a restaurant, and like invite only to media and in industry. And Gizzard got host that every year, like as this Foul Territory SHOT Show finale thing, and let everybody sit there and debrief on the last day. It could become a whole thing. So yeah, having an idea of like when to stream is a good idea, or if it's worth doing it. Let's see. Trying to read comments, and these guys are just talking to each other there. All right, so this dead air is helping. You guys are chatting a lot in here, and Gizzard is chatting from the X. Thank you for that. All right, so I'm going to leave that one up. So I'm guessing you asked it twice now. It's a real question. Yeah, this is the Streamlabs. The Duck could do this. What are you talking about? The Duck can do this. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm on the Streamlabs right now. I'm doing a bad job of trying to read. So, see, that's what Clover's saying. Get paid to do your show. Gizzard saying carry a good Sharpie for autographs. I guess for some people, that's probably a thing. I'm not even kidding. Especially if you're interested in actually being able to do that, because if somebody doesn't have something, they might just assume you do. And if you just grab a ballpoint pen, that's weak. That's weak sauce. All right, so preparing network tools is the last thing. We got a couple more things to do here, so we'll keep digging in. But we're all content creators, so I figured this would be the biggest element of this show, the biggest segment of the show for sure. And a lot of this other stuff will be fairly repetitive. But the seventh thing that the robots suggest that you do as a content creator, prepare for SHOT Show in the next 13 days, would be to get your media kit, or whatever you want to call it, have it current with your stats, reach, and collaboration options, to revamp your business cards and make sure they have updated contact details or a QR code, and to polish your pitch. Be ready to concisely introduce yourself, your niche, and what you offer. So that actually addresses Steven's question. So I'm not a big fan of the QR code. I do not like them. I know they've been around for a long time, and a lot of people are advocates, but I do not like them. I think Clover's actually said something about them here. I tell you what, I'm going to take a second to cough a bunch of times and drink some water. And then what we'll do in that meantime is I'll also read some of these comments.
Un poco con gran sentido y poder, habla de armas y nos hace ver.
Whoops, that one's not in English. Not every robot song is in English unless you tell it to be in English.
Un poco con gran
Shit, that one's not in English either. How about this one? Not all my chats are in English, so I don't have all my robot songs in English.
Tiny Pug runs the show at midnight. daily gun show where he takes flight, talking rights with a smirk on his face, a furry host in a digital space. Listeners tune in from near and far, firearm chat under the glowing stars, opinions shared with bark and a bite. Every night at 12 it feels so right.
All right, so thanks to the robots for making all our songs for us. So I think I got everything. You guys are mostly just talking to each other. But if I missed something, let me know. But I know what you're talking about now. Whenever I don't have this up on the screen and somebody comments, it'll automatically pop up there. That is a labs thing. And it's actually annoying because it pops up almost always behind something. So, and then also the other thing is go ahead and super chat. SHOT Show super chats are a thing. So any super chats that come in go to making our SHOT Show experience more awesome than it would be. So when a super chat comes in, or when Gizzard did his member chat thing, or member thing, whatever it's called, that shows up on the screen. Like it pops up, and you can tell it where you want it to pop up on the screen. But anyway, we'll move back to Bullets for Bucks had asked, where's that thing? How do you introduce yourself to companies you'd like to work with? Like, what do you actually say or not say? It's interesting. So I think everyone's going to have a little different answer to this one, depending on where you're at. Because I'm just saying, after my years of doing this, I have changed. So if you're new and you're, not used to doing it, you're going to be having a different. The answer is different than if you're experienced and you've done this a bit. But I imagine. So first off, when you're walking into a booth at in a industry event like this, they need to determine who you are, right? Like they're there to meet with both attendees, other manufacturers, and then to some extent media. Unless you have some really good idea of their opinion of media or their interaction with media, then for all you know, they think you're one of the three. So coming in and introducing yourself and having your badge and all that, and, maybe holding a camera. It's easy enough to hold a camera. A lot of people don't like cameras, but having a camera is a thing. It's more than a status symbol. It's like it's a social cue, social prompt, and it can open doors, it can close doors, but it can be a thing. So there's that, and then knowing who to approach. So you come up to a booth, you can just turn the corner and walk right in and be in that booth and not take any time and start looking around and asking people stuff. Or you could, again, know what your plan is and know that you got to make a first impression, or that a first impression will be made. So you could take a couple of steps back, go around a corner, decide that's a good time to go to the bathroom or get something to drink or something. That's what the media room is for, to take a break and get off the floor for a bit, and then psych yourself up, figure yourself out, and then go approach, with intent. And then, like I say, once you've determined how you're going to approach them, you figure out who you're going to approach in the booth. Some of that might, have been, some of that preparation might have been watching the booth to see who's there, how busy they are. So that's another part of it. If you're going to be introducing yourself as they're being introduced by their fellow manufacturer to their best buyer, of the year, you want to go walk up and go, "Hi, I'm some guy you don't know, and I want you to pay me money." Like, that's different conversation than, you like to walk up and say, "Hey, you make some awesome stuff, and can I get you as an interview on my podcast?" So, what's your goal with these people? If you're trying to, start a relationship, if you just want to meet somebody there and then take it to after SHOT Show, do you want to meet somebody there and try to get an interview while you're there, right? Do you want to talk to the media person? Do you want to talk to the owner of the company? you want to talk to the innovator or the designer about something specifically? Do you have a question like to the, what's it called, like the manufacturing process people, like how come it's made this way and how come every time it comes off the line all my customer my viewers tell me that their magazines come dented or something? Like maybe you have feedback to give them. So I think it'd be a conversation. I don't mean to dodge it, but I'm just trying to explain that that's what you go to SHOT Show for, so that you have the opportunity to introduce yourself to companies. So it's not an insignificant question. I wanted to give it some time. I don't think I did it justice as if I think we could do a whole show though on how to introduce yourself, because at SHOT Show, it's just a tweak different than at any other industry show, but it's really just a tweak different. It's still the same as anything. You know, you've got the basic opportunities and the basic things that could screw with you in that introduction. That's a great question, and if anybody wants me to elaborate on that or put input into that, feel free. But I'm going to keep moving on for the sake of the podcast, because what we're going to do is talk about the same 7 steps of what can be done before SHOT Show. Actually, I went the wrong way, except now from as a vendor, as somebody who's setting up as a exhibitor at SHOT Show. And this is a picture from SHOT Show last year. This is actually really good. Last year I asked the robots to make me a picture of SHOT Show, and it was like 700 crazy people pointing guns at each other. And this year I said, so give me a picture of SHOT Show. And this is not that. This is what the big room of SHOT Show looks like. A bunch of normal people walking around looking at all the guns that are in giant posters, because most of the guns are just giant posters. So this is really good. I mean, it doesn't look like SHOT Show, but this looks really close to SHOT Show. So Steven's saying, can you give us an example of the start of the conversation? I think what I'll do, if you're down, I'll finish this podcast and then we'll just start a separate one and talk about that specifically, because I think it is a big deal and it is going to be quite different for everybody. I just don't want to monopolize that one piece of the 7 parts for the content creators here. Let's see. So then we're getting into, again, vendors. So again, there's going to be a lot of overlap, but of course they're coming at it with, they're spending a lot of money. I don't even know what it costs anymore to have a booth at SHOT Show. If we look at this actual picture from SHOT Show, these booths can be anywhere from like 12 feet by 12 feet to 120 feet by 240 feet or something probably. So, they get big and they pay for the square footage that they're using and where it is in the show. Like if it's in the big booths or big rooms, or if it's in a small room hidden somewhere. So the costs there, they're not allowed to do anything themselves. They have to have what do they call them? Unions to everything. They have to pay their crews to be there, travel and everything, food and everything. It's got to be. And then I can't even imagine what it costs, like lack of production heading up to SHOT. They probably did nothing this next couple of weeks, or very little work these next couple of weeks, and then coming back from SHOT. I don't know if we'll talk about it today, but people get sick at SHOT Show. It's a giant room with a bunch of people coughing on each other, so it doesn't matter what's going on. I mean, for 20 years, some people get sick every year at SHOT. Some people are going to get sick, not the same people, but some amount of people every year get sick when there's a lot of people together like that. So I'm sure that a vendor or somebody who's bringing 12 people, they just assume some people aren't going to be showing up for work on Monday the next week because they're sick. So anyway, there's a lot of costs involved with SHOT Show. So finalizing booth designs and layouts, making sure that everything's good to go. I'm sure a lot of them have figured this out already, but setting it up, I mean, you kind of have to set it up to make sure everything's there, but setting it up and doing a walkthrough, having customers or employees or family or something walk up and act like a regular person might, and have that third party set of eyes on your booth, like your employees and you, the people that built the booth, the people that understand the product, what your booth is doing. Any little screw ups or mess ups in your booth, you're going to either subconsciously overlook it or just overlook it, where somebody like your mailman or somebody delivering something next door, and you say, hey, come on over and look at our booth and ask, give us some honest feedback on it. You're allowed to do that. I've seen at least 3 companies who have their booth set up in their warehouse, just like their SHOT Show booth. I mean, it's just set up in their warehouse, and I'd go so far as, have all your everything in there. Same thing as we were saying with your luggage. Set up the booth, make sure all your paperwork is in there, everything down to the rubber band and the highlighters. You spent a lot of money on that thing to get it there. I'm sure some people have already gotten it in the mail by now, but for those that still have that option, making sure that, there's just the little stuff like garbage bags and coolers, and having some extra backpacks in there or something probably couldn't hurt. Let's see, plan interactive elements, demo areas, hands-on displays. Kind of late for that, but if you can include that kind of stuff or bring it along. Ask your, I don't know if it'll say it in here, but ask your customers, ask your people that, interact with your socials, what they'd like you to see at SHOT Show. It says check screens and tablets to make sure they function. Don't assume nothing. Prepare marketing materials is number 2. Update collateral, digital readiness, merchandise. Well, there's not much merchandise unless I guess they're talking merch. So the swag, the stuff that you're going to be giving away. So one thing you want to keep in mind, especially if you're a manufacturer that's got patches, Velcro patches, you're going to want to take like a handful of those and just send them to me so I don't have to carry them around at SHOT Show. That way they'll get to me. You'll know I have them. You'll be satisfied. And then you just take the rest to SHOT Show. That makes it a lot easier for everybody. You can get my address off of the YouTube channel, and then you could just send all those patches to me right away. You don't have to worry about handing them to me at SHOT Show. I'll probably still get some at SHOT Show, but don't worry about that. Let's see, stickers and stuff, though. Probably still time to get some of that stuff, the stickers and the business cards. On the other hand, I don't think there's too. What do you think about candy and like the peppermints and the butterscotches, like those kind of candies? I used to think those were a waste of time until I had a year where something happened and I couldn't get enough water. And instead of dragging a bunch of water around, I figured out if you just grab one of those peppermints every couple of hours, they actually do the job of keeping your mouth from having to need water constantly. So having those things, a little tiny thing, like having something super cheap like that in your booth somewhere. I don't know. I personally think, since I've actually encountered it after I don't know how many years, I think there's something to that. Let's see, promote your attendance. Again, just like the content creators, letting people know on your socials that you'll be there. Of course, with when you're attending, you want to let people know your booth. Let them know when you're going to be doing stuff, right? Like if you've got maybe somebody running a podcast on your booth or whatever, let people know when that is so they can avoid it. They know not to show up during that time. Or show up during that time if it's that kind of podcast. Let's see, but saying your booth number is one thing, but how lame is that? I can tell you, as somebody who has to look for stuff, how about saying I'm in the big room? Or how about I'm next to Daniel Defense? You're allowed to say that. Like, or hey, I'm 3 booths down from Smith & Wesson. Like, how about give people real indicators of where you are? Or like when you go into the big room, we're right next to the beer garden. Like, hey, that lets people know approximately where you are without having to make them look at a stupid map. So if you can make it real instead of stupid, then consider sending people real instructions. Email, probably having a newsletter is a good idea. This isn't a time to lecture you on that, but taking advantage of that newsletter. In fact, content creators should probably be sending out a newsletter saying, hey, would you like to see from SHOT Show, since I'll be there. Let's see, media contacts, booth schedule. That's a good point. And invite people to your booth. You're allowed to invite people to your booth. I can tell you that there's a lot of content creators that feel like real big people when you ask them to show up at your booth, and it doesn't cost you a dime. And then they bring their whole following to your booth, right? At least for a little while. And a lot of times you bring them to your booth, and then guess what? Their booth is on their radar. It's on their itinerary of things to do now, maybe even for years. So you can send those invitations out, but send those invitations out to content creators. If we're listening to this show, content creators are getting ready the same way you are. Tease new products. I guess, hey, did you ever think about bringing new products to SHOT Show? If you're a manufacturer, maybe you should think about bringing new products to SHOT Show. Thanks, robots. All right, we'll move on to the next one. Coordinate staff roles. That's probably a good idea. Knowing who's going to be there. But here's the next step. What happens if something happens to somebody? I've been to probably 4 now, where somebody completely was sick the entire time and were taken out of the game. I mean, one time it was the day we got there, boom, he went down and he was in the hotel room sick, like miserable sick the whole time. Like he didn't leave because he wasn't going to go home on an airplane, miserably sick. Plus, he was hoping he was going to come out of it and still be able to salvage some of SHOT Show. Ended up going home miserably sick. So just cost a lot of money to be sick in a hotel room. That can happen, right? You can't stop that from happening. You can hope that it doesn't happen. So when you are setting up your team's roles, keep in mind, just like an A team, you're going to want to have everybody has at least 2 jobs. Ideally, a couple of people have 3 jobs, so that if something needs to shift, it's not unheard of, and everybody understands, what happens when one person's missing. Assign roles to who will handle the demos, media inquiries, and that kind of thing. I think that's a smart idea, but I don't know if that's 100% hard and fast. I guess it kind of depends on how many people you've got and how interested they are in doing some of that. You assign the wrong person to lead collection, for example, and you wasted SHOT Show, right? Let's see, practice, role play. I think I kind of mentioned that with the booth, but that's probably a good idea. And if your people ain't already doing that, I'd scratch my head and go, did I get the right people? Because honestly, I think SHOT Show is a pretty big deal. You're not going there on vacation. You're going there to either make sales, and most gun shops are like, why should I have your stuff, right? That's the main question. Or what's so good, or what's the deal? So you should anticipate you're going to get a certain amount of questions. And one, you don't want people to get callous to those questions and then start really being getting sloppy with it. I don't know how to say that. And then or just being sloppy from the get-go, like really having no idea and just kind of slopping it out there, playing by ear. That could be horrible. Again, that could ruin a SHOT Show, completely waste your time. And I have seen that happen. I've seen people, like the same guy, just zoned out. And I don't think it was intentional as much as he was just at his point where he couldn't, and he was just like, yeah. And people were like, hey, does this have a backwards thing? Yeah. And the next guy would say, hey, does this have a forwards thing? He'd be like, yeah. And it's like, I don't think he knows what he's saying anymore. And again, I don't think it was intentional. I think it was just, Thursday. I've been here for how many days, and this was a lot more than I thought it was going to be. Maybe make sure you're ready to let those people tap out too. I don't know how many people. I'm asking a lot of questions, and I'm not really watching the comments, but just kind of a general question out there. People that have been to SHOT Show before, how many of these booths have a place for people to hang out? You can tell, like, when a booth is new, they don't even bother, right? It's just all about how much square feet can we put a product in. How can we display our product best? After a while, especially with anybody with a number of people, you'll see they have a little room so that people can go just get out, just take a break from the whole thing and sit down once in a while, sometimes lay down. It can be overwhelming, especially when you've got so much on the line, overwhelming, not because necessarily everybody's coming by and saying, what's this? And, or maybe everybody's got the wrong idea of something, or making you imagine that would be horrible. But can you imagine what it's like paying for SHOT Show and just have everybody walk by, have 60,000 people walk by for 4 days? Like, that's got to drive you nuts too. You're chomping at the bit to say something and nobody's coming by to say something too. So understand your people, and everybody's on the same team, but everybody's going to be taking that differently and be ready for it. Let's see. Coordinate. Okay, we got the practicing play. The next one is number 5. Plan, lead, collection, and follow-up. Use technology, prepare follow-up materials, and organize your CRM. Your what would that be for this? CRM. Contact something. I'm using CRM for web-based stuff, so I don't know what this analogy is. It's probably easy, and I'm not thinking of it. But using technology to collect data, it's probably a good idea. You're going to be getting badges that you can scan using their app. It's probably got to be able to use their app or because if their app goes down, or if someone's just not their badge isn't working, or for whatever reason the badge ain't going to work for that, then you got to have another alternative. But if the system is screwed up this year, I mean, it'd be nice to say that SHOT Show systems always worked, but we all know they haven't. So if something happens to their system, you want to have an alternative system right away, and like I say, like a backup system, but also just an alternative system to collect data. And did Clover say, or Gizzard said earlier, taking a picture of a badge? That's such a great idea. I mean, it's a tough habit to get into, but once you're into it, it's so much easier than. It makes it so much nicer when you lose a business card, or when you lose a contact info.
Little pug with a mic in his paw, breaking down facts, laying down the law, talking firearms rights to all who hear every midnight hour. Pug's voice is so clear. Topics hot sizzle like a summer night.
Isn't that better than just being on dead air? Let's see. Content. Somebody has to see what it is. What's CRM? Clover saying, I carry hard candy. It helps keep my mouth from getting quite dry, and great to offer people. That's a good idea too. And it keeps your mouth from being all gross, I suppose, if you're drinking if you're eating like a peppermint or cinnamon or something. Let's see. All right, so if anybody knows what CRM is, let me know. But using technology to collect, like I say, is probably a good idea with a backup and an alternative. Drafting a personalized follow-ups, and I think you can, again, you can prepare those ahead of time, or task somebody who may be also amped up, getting ready for SHOT Show as an employee. Get them to prep all the follow-up stuff, and that might be even more work for a manufacturer, because that might be, what if somebody just wants this product, or they want the whole set, or what if it's a gun shop, what if it's a media person. So there's quite a few things, now that I'm thinking about it, that you could prep ahead of time, and then once SHOT Show's over, now it's a full-time job of just, okay, this person needs this bundle, this person needs these 2 bundles, this person needs this, and then sending all that stuff off, and then of course doing that in a way that sets you up to succeed, right? So doing it in a way that you can monitor either through a spreadsheet or some sort of a folder in your email client, so that you're aware of who you've sent stuff to and how often, and if you've got follow-ups. And that's probably what CRM is. Content, customer relationship management. Thank you. I knew it was something like that, but for me, it's content management system on websites, so I was glitching. But those are essentially systems you pay for, right? Like they help you to do all that stuff, to follow up, and then to monitor who's replied. And let's say you're going to follow up, and maybe it's a gun shop, and you're following up with an order. You're going to want to know in that content system, or in your that management system, where you're at in that flow. And those systems can make that a million times easier. They also are nice because they aren't one person's email, right? Like it's not that there's, if that one person is someone in your family or something, you don't have nothing to worry about usually. But if that one person is an employee, it might be risky to have all of your customer content info in their email box. So by having it in a system, a CRM, and having your employee access that system as a subordinate and not the owner of the system, it's a lot smarter than just having them deal with it all in their emails, which might be a lot easier for some people. Anyway, so the 6th thing as a exhibitor at SHOT Show, double check logistics, shipping early, if that's possible. Sometimes, shipping early is not possible with giant stuff. It is sometimes, though. Verify show services. I don't even know, but I'm assuming the robot's talking about all the infrastructure stuff, making sure that you got your location with electric or with whatever it is you needed, and then packing the essentials for pack up. And I think a lot of people forget about that, but sometimes you rip apart something's plastic or something like that. So thinking about when you're packing up your display or your booth, maybe including, especially for things where it could be in the heat of the moment or in the last minute, somebody's going to rip some plastic off of something, not realizing that we're supposed to keep that plastic so we could bring it home in that plastic. So keeping some backups of some of that could be pretty simple, or some generic backups, right? Like some big tarps or something, so that if something does get damaged or broken or something, you can wrap it up before it gets sent home, prevent further damage in shipping. So, thinking ahead, I guess, and experience, maybe talking to other manufacturers too, their experiences, both good and bad, from SHOT Show. The last thing, the seventh idea, is planning engaging experiences so that during the show, there's something to bring people to, right? Scheduling live product demos or mini events to draw crowds. Of course, that gives you the option to get the word out. Saying, hey, we're here is one thing, but saying, hey, we're here, come by on Wednesday, is a different thing. And it gives you, I don't know, what's the word? It gives somebody a reason to come by your booth at that time, rather than just another booth to see a SHOT Show. They might say, oh, okay, so I know it's in the big room. I'll get to it when I get to it. But if you're doing something in your booth at a specific time, there's a different incentive. Offer show only discounts or pre-order opportunities. Share moments or create shareable moments. Design photo opportunities or Instagram worthy displays. That's cheesy, but I guess it might work. I was going to say have a patch trade or some kind of a patch panel that you interact with. You could do that with stickers and a piece of plexiglass, and then you could put that piece of plexiglass somewhere in your business, right, in the office or in the shop or something. Patch panels are great. You go to Family Dollar? No, Dollar Tree, and you buy their floor mats. They're $1.19 or something, $1.25 probably, and then they're actually ideal patch panels. By themselves, they're like a foot by, or they 18 inches by 24 inches maybe, and they're the size of a doormat, and they're pretty manageable. And you can put SHOT Show. If you went all out collecting every SHOT Show patch, you'd probably fill up 2 of those, 3 of those. So having like a patch swap, you'd probably fill up 7 of those or 8 of those, bringing all kinds of people to your booth, even if you don't have patches. I mean, you should have patches. You feel bad if you don't have patches, or you should feel bad if you don't have patches, but you can still bring people to your booth with something like that encourages them to come by. You could come by and have them show off their badge holder, and the person with the best badge holder, gets maybe a piece of product or some kind of free training or something that you can offer. So there's all kinds of ways to bring people to the booth. I see Brooke's out there. Welcome. Sounds like Brooke is not going to SHOT Show this year. She hates SHOT Show now. She's scared to go. She was saying earlier in one of her shows that she's scared to go. But I think if we were to raise, I don't know, $3,000 in SHOT Show money, we might encourage her to go. So let's see if we can get $3,000 in SHOT Show super chats in the next, I don't know, before the show ends. And then we'll donate 1/3 of that to Brooke so she can go to SHOT Show. We'll only keep 2/3 of what YouTube doesn't take. We'll keep 2/3 of the 2/3 that YouTube doesn't take, and then we'll send that 1/3 of 1/3 to Brooke. All right, so now we're going to talk about just regular old attendees. So who are the regular old attendees? Now, if we look at this picture of SHOT Show, that is a picture from SHOT Show that the computer's made. It's actually really, 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 really close to SHOT Show the year that the Super Bowl happened at SHOT Show. I don't think that happened. Does that happen this year? I don't know sports, so somebody has to tell me. But one year, I don't remember, I can't remember what year it was. One year, it might have been Florida, so it might have been 9. I think it was 9. In 2009, SHOT Show and Super Bowl were the same Sunday. So Super Show was on the weekend back then. So everybody was standing around watching the Super Bowl on Sunday. Was the Super Bowl on Sunday? Whatever day the Super Bowl was on. Everybody was standing around watching it. So SHOT Show turned into bullshit. Like it was just a bunch of people standing around, and they're all drinking beer, so it was really stupid. Well, no, I mean, it happened at the same time. They were just watching on TVs, but I'm saying it happened while SHOT Show was happening. Like, I don't think they've ever bothered to do it like that again, because I think that was the last time I remember it happening. I don't know if SHOT Show moves or if the Super Bowl moved, but whatever happened that year, it was a mess. So anyway, this looks a lot like what that was like. Everybody was just standing there talking to each other and watching the Super Bowl, but nobody was doing any business anymore. And I can't remember if it ended and everything went back to normal. I think it was on Sunday, so everybody just left after, like, it just sort of shitty. It got shitty. Anyhow, but anyway, if we look at this, what is SHOT Show? It's a bunch of people who are, like I say, 2,500 of us are media, and that doesn't mean nothing. That just means YouTubers mostly. Some writers, and writers are super boring. They just walk around. They don't even have cameras. They just walk around, so you can't tell a writer. I guess they're super slow, and they take a long time to look at stuff. And then, you know, the YouTubers, you can hardly tell who they are, other than they probably have a camera or something. And then the rest of the people there either are manufacturers who are, you know, going on to the bathroom or something, or going to get something to eat, or maybe a manufacturer who walked away from their booth to go look at somebody else's booth. Maybe 1/4 of the people are doing that, not even. But I'd say 60%, 90%, you know, a majority of the people walking around SHOT Show are people who own gun shops, or maybe industry people that don't have a booth. But most of the people have a booth, so it's mostly gun shop people. And what do gun shop people look like? They look like regular people. So this is pretty much what SHOT Show looks like. There might be more suits in this picture than SHOT Show. It's like SHOT Show is more like a regular, it's like you just went to the train station or something, like everybody's wearing normal clothes. Nobody dresses up for SHOT Show. What's his face? Rob Pincus dresses up for SHOT Show, and like 4 other owners of companies dress up for SHOT Show. But everybody else just wears like whatever they would wear on a train or an airplane. So it just looks like a bunch of people standing around, and there happen to be, you know, displays with some guns and stuff. But because it's mostly people in gun shops, they might be listening to this. I figure they might be, so I put them at the end here. Or, you know, maybe the internet will tell them to listen to this. But if you're going to SHOT Show as a gun shop employee, I have something like 17 years of experience going with guys from the gun shop. So knowing your purpose, deciding on what you want to achieve, networking, discovering new products, suppliers, and your own professional development, those are all awesome points. Prioritizing activities, that's critical. As a regular attendee, it can get overwhelming, but it can also be pointless. Like, you could really waste a lot of time doing dumb stuff at SHOT Show. Some of the dumbest things to do, in my opinion, if you're there to work, is to do the nighttime stuff. The nighttime stuff was originally designed for the people who are working SHOT Show in the booths to have some time to blow off steam, because they're there to work, and they're in Vegas and they're blowing off steam because they have a lot of work to do, a lot of them. And then others, that's their time to get together and not be doing something more constructive, so they do something less constructive. But the people that are there to work end up, I should say, the people that are there to work for their shops or for their own projects end up going to these, and they're not employees. You know, they're either owners or people tasked with something to do at SHOT Show, and they go get drunk, or they just stay up all night, or both, and waste their time during the day. And it might seem like, oh, big deal, I got 4 days, but you don't. The first day is useless. I mean, almost the entire Tuesday is useless. Definitely the morning of Tuesday is useless. The morning of Sunday is useless. So yeah, that's why people go, oh, I'm going to get drunk because the morning of Sunday is useless. Well, guess what? It's useless for everybody. So if you don't show up when nobody else shows up, you know, it's anyway, you're making yourself have to do all your work in a little amount of time. Anyway, so then and then a bunch of people ditch out on Sunday, or I guess Friday night, and however many people ditch out of there to avoid traffic or whatever in the evenings. So you really don't have that much time at SHOT Show if you're really looking at it as trying to get as much out of SHOT Show as you can. So people that go as the industry, they're paying to be there. I forget what they pay, but they pay real money. It's hundreds of bucks, and their travel, and their, you know, not their shop's not open. So they're not going to SHOT Show on vacation. I guess you're allowed to go on SHOT Shows on a vacation if you want. I have seen people do it as a vacation for sure. But I guess I'm assuming I'm talking to people who are going there to work, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't care about these 7 steps or whatever. So getting yourself kind of psyched and knowing what you're going to be doing and having an idea is good. Prioritizing those things that are useful is good. Having a game plan, scheduling things that are useful, and then giving yourself some time. But you're allowed to give yourself time on Friday and Saturday. You know what I mean? Like, you can de-stress on Saturday in Vegas. It's possible. Like, you can totally have a good time in Vegas on a Saturday. Brooke has a good point. The time flies and you never get as much done as you think you can. So now Jeff is saying from Gear Report, the evening parties are the most important part of the show. For you, but we're talking about industry attendees now. We're talking about people that are from gun shops. And if they really want to meet a YouTuber, they might. YouTubers really like the parties. YouTubers have definitely dig into the parties. And the parties have changed a bit, but depending on what we're talking about too. But I'm talking about the parties, not the industry get-togethers or the activists that get together, which there should be a lot more of, but I guess I'm talking about different things there. I'm talking about the parties where people are just getting drunk and partying and just having the Vegas fun. And people who are going as a gun shop or an employee of a gun shop and wasting time doing that. Like I say, there's some, go have fun in Vegas, but you're allowed to do that like on Friday and Saturday. Or maybe Sunday, so that all you're blowing off is the things that you can't do anyway on Monday, right? Let's see, research exhibitors and plan routes. I'm going to say the same thing about that, since we've kind of already talked about that. Having a general idea what you want to do, yeah. But even as an attendee, let's say you want to go to, I can't think of it, some of the big booths, some of the big ammo booths and some of the big gun companies will have like competitive shooters or their shooting team or the Army marksmanship team or something, and they'll have them set up to do something like either tell somebody who won something for the year. SHOT Show is a big deal, so manufacturers will say like their own little Academy Awards for their company or like all their competition shooters, and they'll give them all awards or something, or recognition or whatever it is. So they'll have all these events planned, like we just talked about having events planned, right? So as an attendee, unless you're going to pay attention to all of those, which honestly there's no way to do, you're just not going to be aware of something that might literally be a traffic jam. There's times when somebody's saying something in a booth where so many people give a shit about it that you can't get through there. So you will have traffic jams every once in a while where you need to go from here to there, but you got to get there by going all the way around, or maybe even downstairs and under the pile of people. But if you go into that main room at certain times, like, it's a mess. Like, it's just too many people in there. Plus, I'm scared the floor is going to fall in. There's a lot of fat people. So I don't want to be standing around where there's that many people standing there. Anyway, so be aware that, you're going to have to, you can plan all you want, but you can't know everything that's happening at SHOT Show. And you can plan everything you want, and then you get there and you find out that there's 6 other things that you need to add into your organization or into your schedule. And that's really tough. And sometimes it's easier to just not have the schedule, but instead have a bunch of loose ideas so that when you go to add stuff in there, it's not such a dilemma to drop other things off. All right, so let's see, schedule meetings in advance. This is a debatable one. The robots came up with this. The robots have never been to SHOT Show. It says reach out early, contact vendors or industry contacts to set up these one-on-one meetings or small group discussions. That actually is probably easier to do, setting up a group discussion. Wonder if we should think about that for any of the stuff we're doing. But then confirming appointments and preparing questions. Okay, I'm down with preparing questions. That makes sense. Like, have some idea what you'd like to talk to these people about. You are, after all, they're there for you, but they're there for you and everybody else in the other 60,000 attendees. So assuming that you're going to monopolize some of these people's time for too long is asking a lot. Now, sometimes you can get a treat and they're bored and they'll talk to you for hours, but don't assume that that's going to happen unless you're best friends with these people, and then you don't need my advice, right? But reaching out early, I don't believe that. That's why I'm doing this show 13 days out. If I would have done this show 73 days out, how many people would be giving a shit about this? Like some people plan ahead of times. Those people are successful. And then there's people that do things at the last minute, and that's everybody else, right? So I think this reaching out early is theoretically neat. Robots like it, but in reality, if you haven't reached out, reach out. Like, you think everybody's some kind of robots who's already got their shot figured out? I guarantee you, if you don't have your shot figured out, 70% of them, whatever else out there, doesn't have their shot figured out. So this is all happening at the last minute. And people like me, you could ask me 100 times to set up a meeting with me, and I'll never set up a meeting with you. So if you see me at SHOT Show, we'll see you at SHOT Show. If we haven't talked to each other by Thursday, I might do something. But you know what I mean? You're going to meet a lot of people who will not make a meeting with you. So I don't agree with that part. And the same thing with confirming appointments. Now you're just weird and needy. Unless it's something that you have to accomplish at SHOT Show, or if you're talking like friends or something. I think confirming appointments, you shouldn't have made them in the first place, and confirming them is just bothering people. But maybe I'm wrong. Jeff's got an interesting point. Seems like most of the people who go to SHOT as dealers, like gun shop people, are there as an excuse to go to Vegas. I wish those jokers would stay home and not clog up the works for those of us there to do work. It is a good point, and I think that is an element, but I think it's it's fading because it costs so much to go, and there is so much work being done. You know, the old, the old culture of SHOT Show, we know, was booth babes and drinking, like good old boys drinking, showing the cops what's up, selling the cops whatever, buttering them up with booze and strip clubs and all that kind of stuff. So we know what the culture of SHOT Show had been in like the 80s. And it didn't start there. You know, it started in the 70s, and it was probably a culture of like cowboys and or not cowboys, but hunters and gun shops, and maybe some sports stuff got in there. But then it turned into the police part of it, and then it got really into that culture. And then everybody was making stuff as CCW happened. All they could model after was police, because there was no CCW in the military. And then anyway, so our culture has always kind of adapted and changed to what's going on. So I think, in my experience or my years, the amount of people, like Jeff is saying, that are yahoos just going, there's not too many gun shops that can afford to send like 12 yahoos. So they're allowed to go, but they got to pay. Like the cops, there used to be like one guy in the cop department, or the police department, would be in charge of buying stuff, but he'd bring like 12 people from the department, and they'd all just fuck around wasting everybody's time. Those guys were the worst, because they weren't, unless they were buying something for themselves, and they can't buy nothing at SHOT Show anyway. So they were just literally end users walking around SHOT Show, but because they had a badge, they could get in. And they cut out that years ago. So now the only people you really see in law enforcement are the procurement or R&D or stuff like that, like actual people involved. So there's way less of and it was almost always police. Like there wasn't very many military people showing up at SHOT Show, because there's not that much military stuff there. But as far as gun shop people, I think that's just cost prohibitive. It might just be that the culture is changing a bit, and because there's not, think about years ago how much beer there was in the booths, and now there's not free beer anymore. So, or anywhere near as much free beer. So, and that might be part of it too. You know, like I don't know which one's the cause and which one's the effect. You know what I mean? Gizzard saying if a booth offers free beer, I don't think so. I've had free beer at booth, but unless you like the idea of giving the impression to people that you're a drinker, then you can get a beer after hours. I've personally blown deals because I was walking around with a beer, and I've never been a fan of, you don't do business with drunk people. You hang out with drunk people. But again, if people are there at SHOT Show to do business and you're being drunk in front of them, that's not the impression you want to make. But again, I'm just saying my opinions, I guess. You can do whatever you want. So as far as scheduling meetings in advance, I disagree with the robots on that one. We'll go to preparing for networking. That's an interesting one. Update your profile, refresh your LinkedIn, your social profiles, and connect with industry peers beforehand. It's probably a good idea. Get an idea who's going to be there. Maybe set up some stuff. Bring business cards, ensure they are professional and updated with QR codes. Again, I think those are stupid. Link into your portfolio or website or whatever. Maybe if you're dealing with kids, but in reality, how many kids are at SHOT Show? Like 14 or 15? Like most of the people there are way older than anybody. And the people that are their kids are our age. So there's not that many people running around worried about QR codes. And I think they waste too much space on your business card, personally. Refine your pitch. Be ready to concisely explain who you are, your role in the industry, and what you're looking for. And I think that goes back to what Stephen was saying. Of course, this is a little bit different because this would be from someone at a gun shop, either, asking questions about a product, because gun shops go there not just to buy, but gun shops use this as an opportunity to talk to the manufacturers or distributors or whatever, about issues they've had at the shop. So if everybody's having a tourist go back, for example, because all the tourists in the shop have to go back to Brazil, they might say to tourists something like, "What the hell?" And then tourists might go, "Oh, no big deal. Everything's better now." Something, right? So there's that opportunity. So, having that kind of stuff figured out. I know a lot of people just do that in their head, but I really do think there's an advantage to writing all that down so that you don't forget the pieces, and then you can kind of draw a line through them, both physically and in your head, once you've accomplished the different things. Having a bunch of stuff you're juggling, I always seem to, just never hit everything when I'm just juggling it all in my head. Let's see. Engage with education opportunities, attend seminars, take advantage of educational sessions, panels, or keynotes. Take notes, bring a notebook. And then apply insights. So this is supposed to be for the people that, from gun shops that are going, but really I think that the taking notes part is a big deal. Like, a lot of people take the camera or their phone and take pictures of stuff, but taking notes is useful. Having a piece of paper and a pen or whatever. Actually, you don't need a pen. There's a billion pens at SHOT Show, but having some paper to take notes on, having a whole notepad. Yeah, you could talk me out of that. Having an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper folded into 4s and putting that in your pocket to start off with is fine. If you need paper at SHOT Show, there's plenty of paper that could be found. So I don't know if I'd carry around a notebook all day, but having that, writing stuff down though. Oh, let's take a second to talk about business cards. Doesn't matter who you are. When you're taking business cards, ideally they got some white space on their business card. You can write some notes on there. You might want to say, again, met this person at the waiting in line at the taco thing on Wednesday. Talk to them about flashlights, so that when you contacting that person, you can go, "Hey, remember we talked at the place waiting for barbecue," or something. Like, you're going to be able to give them an actual thing to remember about your conversation, rather than, at SHOT Show on Tuesday. Think about how many people you're going to talk to on Tuesday, how many people they're going to talk to on Tuesday. Having a pen and writing something on that business card, really good idea. If they don't have a place on their business card to do it, writing that on a little note, take a picture of that, right? So that's definitely a thing. Apply insights, plan how you can implement them, what you learn in business. I don't know what that's trying to say, so I'll keep moving on for the sake of time. Optimize gear and comfort. Pack smart. Bring comfortable bag, water bottle. I don't know about all that. Portable chargers. I think as a person walking around the show, you might as well bring a portable charger. For media, I'm going to say I don't think you need to, because of reasons. We've got the media room, and we've got the potential to sit down and be useful or be productive, stuck to the wall while we're waiting for stuff to charge. But as a regular person, you don't want to be stuck to a wall somewhere when you're paying to be at SHOT Show. So I think that's probably a portable charger. I'd bring like a medium-sized one, unless your phones are apt to wear out. Probably that's a good role for a small charger. Like most of mine are huge because I don't carry them, but it's probably a small one that you can carry easily. Might be useful. They say dress professionally and comfortably, wear business casual attire, comfortable shoes. That's probably good for everybody, right? except for Clover. He has to do non-uniform grooming standards. Then you've got stay organized, keep your schedule, contacts, and notes easily accessible, whether digitally or in a notebook. That's why a real badge holder is the sign of a true professional. A dipshit, stupid ass badge holder, you might as well just throw all your shit on the floor and walk on it, step on it, because you can't. You're not going to be. It's not physically possible to be organized with a shitty badge holder. So you're going to need a good badge holder, and that goes for anybody at SHOT Show. Last thing for people that are attending SHOT Show as a gun shop attendee, a standard attendee, plan post SHOT Show follow-ups. What do you know? All of them, they gave all of us this advice. So they're going to say organize leads, and then track those connections and contacts made during the event, which is probably smart. Like I kind of mentioned before, having a spreadsheet or something of all the people you'd like to talk to is okay. Going as far as like making a map and saying, I'm going to walk to this person, then I'm going to walk to this person, then on Tuesday, I'm going to walk to this person, I'm going to walk to this person. Only as a general outline, but that original list of people, use that as a way to also see who did you make contact with. Because guess what? Even if you miss somebody at SHOT Show, now you have all the opportunity in the world to say, hey, we missed each other at SHOT Show, but maybe we can chat on email or something, or maybe we can do a live stream or a live meeting. Send follow-ups, emails, and whatnot. Implement learnings, share insights with your team. That's probably a good idea. And I don't think any of these said that. But as a person coming from a gun shop, or as one of the people at the booth from a manufacturer, having a planned after action is an awesome idea. As content creators, we should probably, we already will, but we should probably plan to have some after action, like set aside time to literally just debrief and talk to each other about what happened as content creators. Same thing, if you've got a group of people, you're all going to be there. Okay, take Monday and Tuesday off, but on Wednesday, we're all getting together and we're going to have a long lunch and we're going to debrief about SHOT Show, and everyone's going to give us their, top 3 things, the 3 things they would change, and come up with something. Give people a couple of days to come up with it, and then do that. So follow up, have some sort of an after action. There's a reason why people who have to do things perfectly monitor and evaluate everything that they do. So you're paying a lot of money to go to SHOT Show. You want your SHOT Shows to get better every year. Do an after action. We've got peers, right? We've got colleagues. They need to do the same thing. So there you go. If you're scared to do it in front of other people or whatever, grab the kitten and the stuffed animal and have that after action. But saying stuff and remembering stuff, teaching somebody else, all of that is super valuable for our mammal brains to keep things, to lock them up. All right, with that said, I think I got everything. It's my first run through a robot script here, or a robot outline, I guess. So I probably missed some stuff. I'm not saying everything's 100% accurate, but we spent, an hour and a half, 90 minutes talking about some things that you might want to address. Now I'll go through the comments here. Should I go through them backwards, or is that lame? I wish I could have the little thing highlight for me. I seen Hillbillies joining us. Welcome. But I'm scrolling back up here. Did I miss anything before this one from Jeff? Oh, here. He says, seems like in 2025, gun shops sending people to SHOT Show seems silly. Can't gun shops do everything they need with brands via the internet or phone, except maybe test firing? That's an interesting point. No, as somebody who's been going to SHOT Show as media since 2005, and since 2005 to 2017, it was with guys from the gun shop. No, definitely not. A gun shop who goes to SHOT Show has the potential to be the best gun shop in town easily, because they know everybody in the industry. So right off the bat, a gun shop who sits in their hole and only looks out of their hole is only ever going to be that big. Like, they can never really know what's going on. When you go to SHOT Show, and especially if you don't just go yourself and make all your crew listen to your stories, because most of the time people that do that don't ever tell any stories anyway. But if you want your whole crew to go to SHOT Show, I mean, you do want your whole show to go to SHOT Show if possible, because you're going to meet like your distributors and your manufacturers and your middlemen, your not your distributors, but your product reps. And those people who you meet at the store, it's one thing. Meeting them at SHOT Show, it's another thing. And then those parties and stuff. So when I talked about those parties as people from the gun shop, if your role is just to go to SHOT Show and to do recon and to whatever, but then, somebody else's role is to order all the ammunition for the year. And then somebody else's role is to order all the guns for the shop. Well, that third person was just there. Yeah, they go to the party if they want. Now, like Jeff said, there's valuable things that can happen at a party, and some people are gonna be able to absorb that. I'm just saying, like, the person who's in charge of buying all your ammo for the year should probably not be worried about the parties. They should probably be worried about, spending. They should probably be managed or scheduling time to be in their hotel doing math. You know what I mean? Like figuring out. Because you want 10,000 rounds of Black Hills doesn't mean you're getting 10,000 rounds of Black Hills. So when you go there and find out you're only getting 7,000 rounds of 70,000 rounds of Black Hills, now you got to go figure out how many rounds of something else you're going to be able to buy or want to buy. So there's a lot of work to be done at SHOT Show that, again, I think the parties absorb. And well, anyway. So going back to the question, I really do think that there's value and taking employees to SHOT Show. Our shop, or Tucson Guns, was massively better than all the other shops in town, and that's because Bob brought the guys to SHOT Show and let them do their thing. Didn't hinder them at all, honestly. He'd really let them. It was an amazing. It was a great shop, and they knew like everybody, so they did a good job. And it's not like they did anything better. There was a whole bunch of shops that knew a bunch of people. It's just none of those shops were in Tucson. But the shops that go to SHOT Show, imagine it's probably possible for a shop to go to SHOT Show and not have a good experience and then not bring their crew back. But I hope, at least my goal would be that if somebody's listening to this or, does it the right way, they go to SHOT Show, they realize that their whole crew benefits and they're going to bring as many people as possible to SHOT Show. And I think that's really what SHOT Show is for. In addition, just going around, I mean, we know what it's like to go up to a booth and fiddle with every single gun. But not every employee has done that, right? Like has that opportunity. They only have the guns you bring into the shop. So if you're bringing in 3 models of SIG or SIG, probably 10 models of SIG, they haven't touched the other 70 models of SIG that are out there. And they certainly haven't touched the law enforcement stuff or some of the hunting stuff. And when a customer comes in and says, how is this different than the hunting stuff? The confidence and the ability to say, here's, without even a hesitation, here's the difference. That's a customer whose impression of that store is different than a customer who goes into a store and goes, well, I read in a magazine or I watched a YouTube video. So, but I don't think there's too many gun shops watching this right now. If I'm wrong, let me know, especially if it's in the podcast form. If you're a gun shop and you want to sponsor the show, you could SHOT Show super chat us, and all that money is going to make our SHOT Show better. Let's see. No, there was some better ones up here. All right, we definitely hit this one. I think we hit this one. Brooke was saying, when time flies, you never get as much done as you think you can, for sure. And I've seen people that lost a day being sick and then still got everything they wanted done because they had been consistent and then they hustled. But, they were able to miss an entire day. It was a Thursday. I've actually had that happen to me too, but I was thinking of somebody else. So, if you're just planning on doing a little bit each day and you do that little bit each day, even if something, you get the legs kicked out from under you, you can still come back and accomplish a lot. Jeff says, I'm not a drinker or a partier, but making real connections at booth is nearly impossible. You can at the parties. Sometimes with some people, I've gone, I'm not saying I've been to every party at all. I've been to the fancy parties a couple of times, and I've been to some of the lame parties once. Like, I don't go to lame parties more than once. And I've been to some of those awkward ass room things that like somebody has a room somewhere. Those are awkward and weird. And then I've been to a couple of the ones that are like the selfie parties, I'll call them. Like people only go there to take selfies and say they've been there kind of thing. And then there's the drinking ones. Like a drinking party is a drinking party. Like the ones that I'm thinking of are the ones that you don't get invited to, but the companies are doing for their own employees. And they're just, yeah, you guys go get drunk and, better be on time tomorrow, but otherwise go have fun. This is your time in Vegas. Going to those is useless, 100% useless. Not like a room where somebody's like, we can't afford a booth at SHOT Show, but we're going to have a room over here in 3 days, or we're going to have like a wing of a restaurant, or we're going to go to this range. What happened to you? Or we're going to go to this range and have like the VIP room, and we're going to set up all our gear. Well, okay, that's designed. Now, they may have beers at that thing, but that's not, unless you're an alcoholic, you're not tossing them back and getting tipsy and, trying to come up with excuses for why the car's broken the next day. That's the kind of parties I'm talking about. But if you're talking about there's a gun shop or two in Vegas, there's a manufacturer that has a party. They probably have beer at that party. Some people might drink, but that's on them. Most of the people are going there to, like you're saying, have more face time with the company. And those companies are probably doing it in order so that people come there and look at their guns and have a chance to take pictures or, have even more face time with them. So I can hear you with that kind of stuff, but there's actually very few of those parties, and they're relatively new phenomenon. But again, this stuff changes so much. Now, another one, since we're talking like after hour stuff, when I say parties, I'm talking about the stuff it's like after 5 p.m. The drunk parties usually start at 9 or something, right? Like they're not right after SHOT, but right after SHOT, there's some dinners, there's some like, we're all going to be in this banquet room or whatever, and you're invited type of thing. There's also breakfasts, and the breakfast is a totally different thing because usually nobody's drunk at the breakfast things. Now, do you get stuff done? Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Clover saying, I was told by a company this year, NSSF wanted $3,000 for 2 attendee passes for them to go. They felt like they were being penalized because they were not buying a booth. Oh, you mean a manufacturer was charged $3,000 to attend? Yeah, and I think they get around that by saying, like, you're trying to get out of buying a booth, and you should, they're scared of them doing business in the aisles, I guess. I don't know. That is a frustrating thing, but it's, I don't want to say, but it happens to be a thing that just doesn't get brought up on the radar very often. I'm not trying to justify anything SHOT Show does. Like, they're okay, and I like SHOT Show, but they're also weird, and they don't do everything right for sure. And NSSF, same way. I mean, I like NSSF, but I'll go all day and night talking about how much I hate Project Child Safe. So they don't do everything right. Let's see. Clover Stack says the parties cement the relationship started at the show. Sometimes for some people, for sure. But you can go to some parties and the person you're supposed to be cementing that relationship with is plastered, and they don't remember you the next day. And I think you have actually encountered that, maybe not, but that's something that exists. So again, that can happen, but I would not suggest, especially for somebody who's new and who's got all the things on the table to do. Parties are not a shortcut. Parties are not a gold mine. Parties are just another element, but they're after hours. You have to get to them. You have to spend time that you could be resting or doing actual productive shit. And I'll say again, like, there's people that don't mind drinkers. Like, I'm okay. I can handle somebody that drinks. Like, I don't hold it against them, but I fucking do not want to be around people that are drunk, and people that are drunk all the damn time. Like, that's just I'm not going to do business with people. And I'm not the only person like that. So that is a thing, but it's definitely not the only thing. Jeff saying your purpose of SHOT is a relationship building, then the parties are a waste of time. So again, relationship building with drinkers, but you're never going to build a relationship with a non-drinker at a party. So we're all talking about some segment of the situation here. Now, if the people you want to hang out with are drinkers, are partiers, then you kind of have to go hang out with them, I guess, because that's where they're going to be spending their time. But spoiler alert, usually partiers can tell a partier. And if somebody's going to walk up and drink one beer next to a partier, I believe the term is lightweight, and they give them less respect than they do the people that can pound them down with them. So I'm just saying, like, there's no free ride on any of this stuff. And I'm not saying there's parties that you go to that are good and parties that you go to that are bad. There's parties that are probably generally stupid, There's parties that are generally good. There's one that I used to go to that was an epic. It had nothing to do with anything. It was just epic. A bunch of people getting together. It was epic. And then it changed, and now it's weird, and now you have to pay to go to it. So these things change all the time. Like nothing stays the same, and definitely nothing at SHOT Show. So hopefully, I probably should have said in the beginning, a lot of this is generalities. Let's see. I think we talked about this one already. Jeff says, seems like most people who go to SHOT Show as dealers are there as an excuse. I think we already did that one. Also, because they're saying about the free beer. Booths that offer free beer, there's been years that like there was no free beer at SHOT. At least I didn't see any. Then there's been years where you can't walk down an aisle and there's not beer on the aisle. I think it's probably we should do that type of situation. So one year somebody does beers and then 3 people near them go, oh, we should do that. But nobody has the same booths every year. So now there's those 3 people that are going to do it because they saw one guy do it. But now they're all over the place. And now they instigate 2 or 3 people to say, oh, we should bring beers. But then what happens is you get a year, like telling you, like probably the reason there are no beers half the time is because of that year with Super Bowl. Like that just wastes everybody's time. Imagine spending all that time to go to SHOT Show, and then the last day is going to be kind of shitty, and then the Super Bowl happens and nothing gets done. And you can't even take down your booth because everybody's standing there drinking beer. I bet you tons of shit got broke because of beer getting spilled on it. So anyway, there was years where there's not even beer. So I'm thinking and now there's a beer garden, so people that are addicted to beer can go buy their beer. So at one point they had to have beer out because half the people that were there were winos, and they had to have beer out. And then they quit putting beer out at all. And then, like I say, they kind of went back and forth. And now it's like it's a thing again. I mean, it's definitely there, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a year where there's no beer again. That being said, this year with Trump back, I'm just thinking this is going to be the year of parties. I mean, I'm not saying I'm against parties or nothing. I'm not going to them. But I think this year the parties are going to be fucking epic just because I think a lot of people are going to be partying at SHOT Show this year. Just my theory or my prediction, I guess. Let's see. Gizzard saying, I typically don't get drunk after one beer, but if I had a chance to mingle at the booth for a few minutes, and be friendly. Oh, yeah, there's nothing wrong with holding a beer and sipping on it. I'm talking the people that are like, oh, finally a beer. And then they drink 1 or 2. And then, they're talking about the moon or the ceiling or whatever the fuck drunk shit they're talking about. And it just turns into sloppiness because there's 6 or 8 people talking about sports or whatever the hell, non-gun related shit. And then everybody just says, it just kind of happens. Okay, now it's just a party. And then those booths that are giving out beer, don't make any money. And then they probably don't have beer the next year. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. I've had to advise a friend that being the party guy isn't conducive to business. And again, you get the right. There's some wino runs a business. Like he's going to want to talk to people that can hang. And then other people are like, I never drink. They're not going to want to talk to somebody who smells like beer. And you walk around SHOT Show certain years, and there's people that smell like beer. That's what happened to me. I think it was 8. I think 8 was the first year I was like, oh, I'm going to drink one of these beers because I was dying. I didn't have any water. And it was a good year. 8 was the best year of SHOT Show. And I remember I grabbed a beer. It was like a bottle of beer. I don't know shit about beer. So it was a bottle of beer. And I was drinking it because I had nothing else to drink. And when I don't know how many people have talked for 4 days straight, but a few days into SHOT Show, you have talked a lot and your throat is screwed. So you're doing something to help your throat out. Otherwise you're not talking. So I was drinking this beer mostly to just be able to talk or to be able to still talk. And this guy came up and he was like, yeah, let's do business and whatever. And then we shook hands and he walked away and we never did business. And the only thing I can think of, because I was kind of big at the time, the only thing I can think of was he was like not a drinker and he didn't want to be around somebody who's walking around SHOT with a drink. And that was a year when nobody was walking around SHOT with beers. That was like a run of years. No, the year before everybody was in Florida and everybody had been drinking the shit out of the place and stuff. So anyway, this guy, that to me was a bad experience. And I was like, damn it. Like I could have been holding a soda. It's just that nobody gave me a free soda. But I'm convinced that there's people that you're going to, drink a beer with, and now you will do business with them. And there's people that if you see you drinking a beer, they're never going to do business with you. And unless you have some, special power to know who those people are, you can't win. So just do what you're going to do, knowing that you're going to have consequences, right? Snob is saying, I disagree about the QR code. I've had several people actually pull up stuff off of it while I was there and then decide to work with me after that. Okay, well, that's a good point. I think you can, have accomplished the same thing by saying, go to my website, and hopefully they know how to navigate to a website without a third of your business card being, a code. But I hear that. And if you talk to kids, like there's a whole group of people, like, what are they? They're kids to me. Millennials, maybe? They love them. I think Snob is a millennial. That may be why he loves them. But I know there's a group of kids that love them. They're the ones that told me to put them on originally, and I waited a couple years, and I finally put one on, and I just never used it. So it's not like I hate them. I just don't think they're that useful. I've never seen anybody give a shit about my QR codes. Gizzard says, Jeff is saying, I carry 2 phones, battery pack, water bottle, mics, business cards, pen, badge holder, and that's all. 2 phones, fine. Battery, all right. Some cords, I'm assuming. He's acting like that's it, but there's cords. Water bottle. I mean, if you're talking about going to the media room and getting a free bottle of water, yes. I don't carry a water bottle at SHOT Show, though. Like, I'm not going to carry a piece of aluminum around when there's a million plastic bottles. Wireless mics, that's where we differ. I've never carried those around. Now, the only time I've ever carried them around is when Pink gave me his set of them, and then I took them and put them in the van, and I didn't carry them around. I don't agree on that. Everybody thinks I'm wrong. Business cards, probably a good idea. I carry 3 or 4 different kinds of business cards because I've got a lot of business. Let's see, badge holder, most important thing you can have, and a pen. Yeah. There's more than that. You need a wallet. He's lying. He's got a knife, probably. I wouldn't walk around any big building without a flashlight. I put a first aid kit in my pack, and then I usually carry one on my ankle. Some people like to carry a taser or mace or something like that. You are in Vegas after all. But yeah, I can see what you're talking. If you're not talking your EDC, I guess you're just talking your gear for your content creation. Some pocket pizzas. That's a good point, though. Bringing food to SHOT Show is better than eating there. At least I'm saying that. If you want to, you can still walk over to the food court and watch somebody eat expensive ass gross food. But I've never seen anything come out of the, what do you call that thing? The any of the places at SHOT Show. There's 2 places you can eat at SHOT Show, and that food is salty, gross. And then if you go to the food court, it's salty, greasy, gross. So, I mean, I'm not skinny like health food guy, but I know enough to want to eat good food when I'm trying to do real work for 4 or 5 days. So I'm more like bring some energy, bring food that is energy with you. It's cheaper. Usually food that's energy is like granola bars and beef jerky for most people, right? Like maybe something like tuna. So it's not going to, it's not like you're carrying around cream puffs or something in your bag. So it's easy to carry. But like trail mix, which is like actual energy and will keep you going, costs you nothing. You can bring it with, and then you're in Vegas. So you're eating dinner. I mean, hopefully you're going somewhere cool to eat dinner in Vegas, right? Hopefully you're eating a decent brunch or something while you're there. So I just don't see the date or the SHOT Show itself being a food thing. Now, I know a lot of people disagree, and they go to the food courts and spend $40 or whatever it is on slimy, or I shouldn't say slimy, it's usually wet, salty food. But bleh. I don't know who, Rick Tori, welcome. Oh, that's Art Tack. Let's see, Hillbilly saying hey. Let's see, if you blend in, you don't stand out. If you don't stand out, if you blend in, you don't stand out. If you don't stand out, are you remembered? Yeah, so Clover likes to wear the flashy stuff to be remembered? Question mark? Let's see. Snob is saying, do you guys think that adding your photo to your email signature just as a way to jar the memory of the person you're emailing? Yeah, for sure. Having a logo down there, same thing. I think that can accomplish it. But A lot of people put their, whatever you call, like your headshot from LinkedIn in your signature. And that can accomplish what Clover's kind of talking about there. What you're dependent on, though, Clover, is, you're saying like, oh, just my shirt is going to remember, people are going to remember me by my shirt or my clothes or something. But you're also doing something, right? So you're going to be like, I'm the guy who talked to you on Tuesday with the green shirt on or whatever, like the green hat. So you're not just running around doing stunts or whatever in a green hat. You're like doing stuff and trying to get them to remember that conversation maybe. But I think what Snob is saying is you can do other things that accomplish that. You don't have to wear a neon color hat or something. Let's see. Gizzard is now going to steal that idea. That's what it's all about. Gear Report is saying he has this picture on his cards. That is unreasonable. I'd rather put a QR code than my picture on there. That seems like a real estate agent thing to do. Let's see. Am I getting to the end here? Gizzard saying Access Sites booth had free beer one afternoon last year. Each person got one ticket for an 8-ounce cup of beer. People just visited the booth for a few minutes. Nobody got drunk. Oh, well, see, that's one way they might be dealing with it then. In that case, I don't know what the point of that is, but I guess it's try to be cool or something. Was it the year Excess is right next to Staccato? Because if I like to think that Excess had a bunch of drunk people standing around drinking free beers in front of Staccato who thinks that their shit don't stink. But Clover says, my website is a hub for viewers, followers, and for companies to find what's important. If they have to dig, or the QR code cuts straight into the important stuff for them. So you're going to have a different QR code for each of those people looking at stuff on your site? Question mark. Let's see. The battery packs have cords or are inductive chargers. Well, I can't afford Macintosh stuff, so I don't have Macintosh phones. But your battery packs have little phalanges on them. I don't have the battery packs that have phalanges. Let's see. If you've ever heard crappy audio with a bunch of background noise, that's why you need wireless mics. Yeah, well, I have 176,000 subs going to SHOT Show for 20 years, and all of them have crappy background audio. Proud of it. I like it. Clover adds a pipe and tobacco. Back in the old days, I would carry around a pack of cigarettes and a lighter, and even if I wasn't smoking at the time, or at least I shouldn't say I did. I did when I was traveling, for sure. Like if I'm doing a road trip, I'll have a pack of cigarettes in the glove compartment, even if I'm not smoking at the time. But I'll always have a lighter. I haven't had a lighter in a while, but I usually would have a lighter. And that's because if you meet somebody and they want to bum a cigarette, that can be, hopefully everyone knows that, or can imagine how useful that can be. But a little bit different with a pipe. You can't really then lend somebody a pipe or nothing. I guess it's possible to find somebody with a pipe that doesn't have any tobacco, but usually that kind of person is looking for something besides tobacco. Let's see. It is interesting. I carry a light and a knife every day, but not often when I travel. Oh, really? So I wouldn't go into SHOT Show without at least a CR123, something like a Surefire, a decent Surefire light, like a handheld light, so that I can see across that building. Often I'll have a little tiny Princeton Tech, I think, like a watch battery kind of headlamp. Again, just in case the lights go out in there. It is SHOT Show after all. And then, I always have a flashlight in my pocket anyway, just a task light. So I'll usually have sometimes 3 lights on me in SHOT Show. And then, like I say, at least 2 first aid kits. SHOT Show, for crying out loud. Who knows what could happen in there? There's 60,000 people in like 2 buildings, kind of, with 2 entrances. And a bunch of them are spazzes. Gear Report, I've never eaten at the SHOT Show food court. Interesting. But you've gone over there. You know what I'm talking about. I know a lot of these guys will eat over there. Let's see. There are a few of us that have a tradition of lunch at the food court in the Venetian on Thursday. It's just a thing. Yeah, exactly. You do it because you forgot to bring food. But if you all remembered to bring food, then you could go eat it in the media room or something. Let's see. Clover's going for more of the branding, I guess, than the actual remember or the actual thing. Carrying if you wore a Bob Ross wig, that would be a way to do what Clover's doing without having to wear a shirt. Because they're saying, how about WhatsApp? Many other countries communicate via WhatsApp. I'm not touching it. I have never had anybody say, oh, I wish you had WhatsApp. So for that reason, I'm not touching it. Get a report saying I'm American, so I don't use WhatsApp. There you go. The vendors do. And for what we're doing, honestly, it's probably a thing. I don't think it would be dumb. I'm not doing it. So you will monopolize it if you do it. But if I had a burner phone or something, I might put it on there. But I'm not going to be talking to them for that, I don't think. But I'll tell you what, if like 6 of them tell me they need WhatsApp, I'll probably end up getting WhatsApp, right? Like, of course. Let's see. So because Clover's saying the QR code is only for the business stuff, everybody else can dig around. Interesting. You can make QR codes offer a question too. You know what I mean? Like a QR code can come up and say, which of the 3 directions do you want to go? I've seen that happen on some product ones. I don't know about all that unless they see you smoking a pipe. You're saying when you go out there smoking a pipe, people are going to remember you because you're smoking a pipe? I guess it might be a thing. There's not that many people smoke a pipe. If you were going to start smoking a pipe as a thing, you should be carrying around one of them long clay pipes. And then every time you smoke, you could break a little piece off. By the end of SHOT Show, it'll be a little tiny pipe. You're afraid that carrying a lighter might attract smokers. I'd rather not have to be around them. I hear you there, but if you have to get on if you're getting your car towed and the guy's like, damn, I just stopped smoking cigarettes yesterday, you could be like, well, here's a pack of cigarettes and a lighter. And then I wonder if that tow would be better. Let's see. Because it says at least had one vendor ask him about WhatsApp. And again, for what we're talking about with all this Chinese stuff, I could totally get it. I could totally get that. Let's see. Clover's not selling Bob Ross wigs yet, it sounds like. And Gizzard is insisting that Americans use WhatsApp. All right, well, that's where we'll end it, with Gizzard's insistence that people are using WhatsApp. I mean, obviously they do. I just don't feel like it, mainly because I got too many things to deal with right now. If I ever get rid of Instagram, maybe I'll have room for something else. But I'm not at that point yet. I don't know if this was useful. At the end here, we're kind of just talking about some of the chit-chatting and a little bit of, what do you call them? Kind of direct answers to questions. But the hopefully the gist of this whole thing was useful to give you at least a couple of answers or answer a couple of questions you might have. If you have more, feel free to ask somebody. There's lots of people that participated today. Pretty much all of us except for everybody except for Snob has a live show, but you can meet with Snob on Gizzard's show. Assuming Gizzard's going to have a show. Is he still having a show? Let me look at a calendar. Oh, he'll have at least one more show, maybe even 2 more shows if you're a member. But I'll bet you dollars to donuts he ditches his 17th of the show on the 17th because he doesn't like to go live when he's going somewhere because he's too busy watching movies. But anyway, we'll see what happens with questions if people have them. Ask away, and will we do another one of these? We could do another one of these. What the heck? Could do another one of these before SHOT next week. If somebody's got specific questions by any chance, then feel free to ask them, and I could potentially adjust the show for next week. But I think I have another idea in mind for next week's pre-SHOT show. But no foul territory on the 17th. As a channel member, I already am saying I feel ripped off. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, thanks for hosting. Scott's asking, he asked Clover yesterday. Probably Clover didn't bother to answer, so he doesn't answer questions like I do. But is there one booth anybody's excited about going to see this year? I don't know if I'm excited about any of them. I'm interested in a few. Kind of want to see some things, but I've only seen like 8 guns that are coming out, and I kind of looked, so I haven't unless I've missed it. I haven't seen a lot of stuff about like what's coming for SHOT Show. So nothing. So there's been no AKs that I'm interested in, or nothing that's surplus-ish that sometimes happens at SHOT Show. I don't see any tiny little revolvers, but I could be missing them. So for me, no. I don't know if anybody else has any answers to that one. But no, for me, it's the show. I like seeing the show, how it evolves, how people interact with it, how the response will be. I mean, I've done shows like this. I don't do these every year, but, you know, I'll do something before a SHOT Show typically if I've got the ability to. And so that's 20 years of doing stuff. Well, maybe we tried to do it at the beginning, and there was no YouTube till 9. So really, like, whatever number of years here, 10 something years with YouTube. And, you know, if I did 10 of these, probably 8 of them or 2 of them, people didn't even give a shit about SHOT Show. Like, SHOT Show gets on people's nerves every once in a while. I don't know what it's like this year because I don't really pay that much attention to the pulse anymore of what the industry, what the audiences are paying attention to. So I'm not trying to cater to them, obviously. But I don't know if this, you guys can tell me, is this year a big year for SHOT Show, or is this one of those years everybody's sick of hearing about it? Kind of depends on who's going and if they're crying about it, or if they're, you know, if they're tripping over piles of money talking about SHOT Show, nobody gives a shit about it. And if they're whining and crying about SHOT Show, nobody cares about it. So it kind of just depends on what the big channels are doing about SHOT Show right now. Are they going to SHOT Show? Like, there's years where the big channels sit around going, oh, SHOT Show sucks, and I'm not going. Those are kind of the years that SHOT Show's the best. So I'll answer the question like this, and I'll see if anybody else is answering the question. Is there a booth I'm excited to see? No, but I am hoping that SHOT Show is like it was in 2008, because that would be ideal, or like it was in 2022, when we came back from the bullshit, when they quit being scared and did the show again. And that year was, in recent history, the best SHOT Show. So I want it to be like that. Like, so that's what I'm excited about. I wouldn't even be going, except that the possibility that it's going to be one of the best SHOT Shows ever is, I think, a great possibility. Like, I think a better than 50% possibility this is going to be the best SHOT Show ever, for a number of reasons. So that's what I'm excited to see, if I'm right or not. Because if I'm right, it's going to be the best SHOT Show ever. It'll be awesome. If I'm wrong, then I'll go find out, I guess. So Jeff is saying, any booth I'm excited about, mostly just my friends' booths. I've done this long enough that I'm burned out on chasing new product launches. Let's see. Gizzard is saying Taurus, only because my Taurus new products video gets the most views of anything I do. That's cool. And they definitely know you're coming, and they roll out the carpet, right? So that's cool. 100,000 views. That's wicked. That's awesome. So Clover's saying it's buffering. So at that point, we'll wrap it up then. Clover's probably saying it's buffering because he doesn't want me to play this.
Little pug with a mic in his paw, breaking down facts, laying down the law, talking firearms rights to all who hear. Every midnight hour, Pug's voice so clear. Topics hot sizzle like a summer night, with the bark he lights up the flight. Gun rights the focus of his nightly strike.
Nightly strike. Like, every third song I play, I had the robots make say Night Strike in it. So I'm going to play these things. I'm going to make them into videos. I'm going to be the first person to make electronic robot music into music videos. And when I do that, it's going to be like a jab to Night Strike, because half of my robot songs say Night Strike. I didn't plan it. It just, because it says midnight, they decided Night Strike sounds good. So half of these things say Night Strike in them. He can't do nothing about it because a robot did it. So he can't do nothing about it. All right, with that, we'll wrap this thing up. Go have a good day. If you're working, get back to work. If you're having a day off, then there's some really neat stuff happening in the evenings. You should go check out an astronomy site. And I think we've got a pretty neat alignment of planets. I believe, did we already miss it? Or is it about to happen? We're about to go through a really cool meteor thing. So, or an asteroid belt or something. I get really cool meteor showers in December. So there's all kinds of stuff to go figure out. Go clear snow off your vehicle. What? No, it's 70 degrees outside. We should not be talking about snow. So, nope. We're going to be having good weather at SHOT Show. Pleasant weather. It's not close enough yet to know what the weather's going to be like, but I'm going to assume very warm, nice weather without a lot of wind. Oh shit, I just thought of something that I forgot about that I just thought about after I said wind. I wonder what I could be thinking about now that I said wind. Oh, I'm super happy. I've been able to do something this year that I have never, only once was even close to being able to do, and I couldn't do it. And now this year I can do it. It's going to be awesome. So anyway, with that, we're going to end the show for real. We'll say have a good one, and thanks for listening.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.